Finally, it is time to share with you all the epicness that was Challenge Iceland. But first, coffee. Should we get coffee? Kisses for coffee? Come on, kisses. Okay, we're gonna get coffee. Let's go. What is left of my coffee cup because Henry also likes coffee. Why Challenge Iceland? Why should it be on your bucket list? The simple way to explain it is epic. Don't you agree?
It's epic.
One word, sum up this race.
Just epic. Actually, you get to use epic and mean it with this race. It's very overused, but it actually works for this one.
You certainly don't do this race for PBs or PRs. You do it because of the insane scenery, which is matched by its grassroots feel. Don't expect big crowds here, but do expect big hills. Don't expect all the bells and whistles, but do expect amazing Icelandic hospitality. Shout out to my friend Rana, who bailed me up at Challenge Rote. This woman, a little bit crazy, which is why I liked her, came over and introduced herself, and she's one of the organisers for Challenge Iceland, and she invited me to come back the year after. So I stayed with Rana and her husband, Birger. I almost called him Hamburg then. It was also great because Birger cooked for us, looked after us as well, and as you all know, I'm not so good on the cooking front of things, and they had their little dog, Miro! So why should you race Challenge Iceland? Well, because you will have an amazing experience. Rain, hail or shine is something that you put on your bucket list and you can tick off. And I feel like triathletes get stuck in that zone of chasing PBs, chasing PRs, chasing Kona qualifications, all that kind of stuff, and forgetting what is at the heart and soul of why you do this is that you love swimming, riding and running. And I feel like you should use this sport to be able to see the world. I'm doing it, and that's not necessarily with me actually racing, but within my job. I mean, the amount of people who say to me, oh, you're living the dream, you're doing this, and yeah, I am. I have a fantastic job. It's not easy, but I'm seeing the world around the premise of swim, bike and run. And I feel like sometimes that's forgotten, that, you know, we spend so much time training, hitting numbers, doing this, doing that. And it's great to have goals, but don't let that cloud your decision making about what events to turn up to. When I first got into triathlon, I was chasing qualification for Kona, and I went back to, I did Ironman WA twice, I did Ironman Australia twice, all within 2 years. And it was chasing Kona. Don't get me wrong, they're great races, but I just got stuck in this little bubble of chasing that one thing. And yeah, you've got to set yourself goals if you do want to qualify for Kona, but let's face it, not everyone can. I just feel like people get stuck in this vortex and forget that there are amazing places out there. You know, you've spent all this time training, so after the race is over and done with, maybe you can celebrate with your family in a destination that you would never have thought about going before. So, you know, each to their own, but that's why I highly recommend something like Challenge Iceland. So in the days leading up to the race, I actually spent a bit of time with the Wurtels. We went and checked out the course together. The entire time, all I wanted to do was unpack my bike and just check out that bike course. The bike is my favorite out of 3 disciplines, and we were driving along, and all I could think about was just getting down on the drops and flying down those huge descents, but with stunning scenery. You know, the not hills, they're mountains in the background, and fjords. I learnt what a fjord was. Well, sort of. I'm not going to give you the exact definition because I'll probably get it wrong. and I'm sure Heather Wertel's listening and she will definitely correct me if I get it wrong. It's something like I don't know, a river, inland a bit. So race day, it was interesting staying with one of the event organisers because I could see how stressed she was about the decisions that they may or may not have had to make come race day. But they ended up moving the swim, so instead of the 1.9k swim loop, athletes walked, I think it was about 1.5k down the road and just did a point-to-point swim. Just made it a lot easier to see boys. The other way, it was just too choppy and it was just too dangerous. So it was a smart decision. It's the wind chill when you get out of the water that's probably the toughest thing. Actually, that reminds me, Shane Smith from Tri Travel a few years ago in Kona gave me a great tip. Not that you need arm warmers in Kona, but I just remember talking to him about this in Kona. If you're going to put arm warmers on while you're racing, actually put them inside out and then shove your arm in, and then you can just roll it up instead of trying to, I don't know, like putting on a pair of stockings. Not that I don't wear stockings very often, but do you know what? I'm going to go get a pair of arm warmers. I'm going to show you. So I'd like to say that I just prepared this, but I don't put stuff away properly, so it's actually already inside out. So when you've got a wet arm, it's really hard to pull that back up onto your arm. So if you put it inside out and then put your hand into the smaller end of the arm warmer, and then you just pull it up like that. And then off you go. So on race day, instead of having a moto, I ended up in a car with Sarissa De Vries's parent. She's a pro athlete and she offered them up as volunteers. And there was a large part of me who was pretty happy about the fact that I wasn't on the back of a motorbike because it was pretty cold. The moto riders and people who are driving cars while you're shoving a camera out the window or you're hanging off the back of a motorbike, when I'm doing it, I always say to them, look, I'm going to be yelling instructions at you because, you know, you're going to be pretty quick when you're trying to get a photo while you're moving. So you have to just yell and you have to be really clear with what you need, which is great. So the driver or the rider will do their best to get you in position. But at the end of the day, the number one priority is the safety of the people around us and the safety of ourselves as well. So they have to take in me yelling at them as politely as possible, but also, you know, looking ahead, looking behind, looking to the side, seeing what the wind is doing. So it's actually pretty hard. Apologies, this light is changing a crazy amount. No surprises, I'm in Melbourne. So if you see the light changing, it's purely because it's probably raining outside and then sunshine and then foggy. Ooh, if you like the bike though, you would love this course. It was an out and back course, 45 out, 45k back. It's a great, fair, tough race. Sensory overload. There was just so many things I wanted to do, and one of my biggest problems is that I always want to do everything. So after the race, I had about a day and a half to do some sightseeing, which is nowhere near enough time to see Iceland, but that's all I had, so it was go, go, go. And despite all of TLC's warnings, I did go chasing waterfalls. No? Yes? No?
Okay, so we're here to check out Barnafoss? Barnafoss. Some waterfalls.
So that's it. Challenge Iceland in a very small nutshell. I've barely scraped the surface. I really want to go back. I want to see what the crew do with the event. It's never going to be a massive event because they want to keep that grassroots feel, and I love it. There's just something about it, those grassroots type of feel events, but it's got the challenge brand behind it, which just makes it a strongly branded grassroots event, put it that way. And Iceland as a country is just insane. I want to go back. I want to find an elf. Anyway, think about it. Challenge Iceland next year. If you're keen to do something different, I highly recommend it. Later.